Competent to stand trial?
There's been lapses that we've seen, but since then we've seen him, driving around town and at the zoo recently and, doing things that everybody does.
Why medical experts have been called in to assess embattled pediatric dentist Dr. Howard Schneider.
Live from the local station, News 4 Jax starts now.
And we begin this evening with new developments in the case of dentist Howard Schneider, who came under intense scrutiny over allegations that he abused his young patients.
Dr. Schneider was eventually charged with multiple counts of Medicaid fraud, but now there are questions about whether he'll be mentally competent to stand trial. Channel 4 Scott Johnson joining us live with what happened in court today. Scott?
Dr. Howard S. Schneider is facing multiple legal battles, from civil charges leveled by past patients to criminal charges that are being dealt with down here at the courthouse. One issue that's brought up that could complicate all his various legal battles is whether he's mentally competent to stand for criminal charges. It's possible Dr. Howard S. Schneider will not be convicted of a crime if it's determined he's mentally incompetent to stand trial. So far, both the prosecution and defense have hired separate medical experts. The defense's expert says Schneider is mentally incompetent. The prosecution's expert disagrees. So today in court, the judge appointed a third to be called in, a neuropsychiatrist out of Lake City. And this could all impact the civil cases filed by multiple parents who say Dr. Schneider mistreated or even abused their children. If he is determined mentally incompetent, do you still have a case? I mean, does that change what you can seek in this?
The civil case and the criminal case are different. The criminal case would essentially be put on hold, and if it's Alzheimer's, it may be put on hold indefinitely.
John Phillips is representing dozens of families who have filed suit against Dr. Schneider. He is now questioning whether it will be determined that Dr. Schneider was mentally incompetent while he was still practicing as a dentist.
In the civil case, it's still negligence. He may not be able to testify, but it almost enforces the case in our mind of some degree of incompetence. It depends on when we can prove that happened. He's even got an auto case against him, and right now this is holding up testimony in his auto wreck case, his divorce case, his foreclosure case. So there's several cases pending against him.
This was Dr. Schneider days after these allegations first surfaced. When I talked to him outside his home, there was no apparent mental deficiency I could see. We just had a few questions. Some people have said you strap down every patient.
With the help of the parent, in a professional manner, and using a pedo board, we wrap them.
Phillips does question how severe any mental deficiency may be, considering Dr. Schneider's history since this story came to light.
There's been lapses that we've seen, but since then we've seen him, driving around town and at the zoo recently and, doing things that everybody does.
So in the criminal proceeding, it now all comes down to the third doctor they're going to bring in to determine if he's mentally competent or not. Prosecution bought a guy they wanted to be the third person today. The defense brought a third idea for a candidate. Well, the defense got what they wanted, so they chose who this third doctor will be. And John Phillips suspects that new doctor will likely side with the defense because the defense found him out in Lake City. So we'll have to wait and see how this all ends up. But he suspects the defense may be able to prove he was mentally incompetent. Have to wait and see. The next hearing, June 28th. We're live downtown at the courthouse. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.